Hello everyone. Today we're going to solve the test to practice digital SAT model 2, which I have postponed till I have a free time. And today I'm going to explain every single question in that practice. So let's start with the first question that says there are 55 students in Spanish club. A sample of the Spanish club students was selected at random and asked whether they intend to enroll in a new study program. Of those surveyed, 20% responded that they intend to enroll in the study program. Based on this survey, which of the following is the best estimate of the total number of Spanish club students who intend to enroll in the study program? So all what you have to do is firstly underline the given data, which is 55 students. We have 55 students in the Spanish club, and we have 20% of which responded to enroll in the study program, and that's what's required for us to find. So we're going to multiply the total number of students times the percentage of those who enrolled in the study program. So 55 times 0.2 is equals to 11. So A is the correct choice. Question 2 says Jay walks at speed of 3 miles per hour and runs at speed of 5 miles per hour. He walks for W hours and runs for R hours. So we have here, it says he walks for W hours and runs for R hours. R hours for a combined total of 14 miles. Which equation represents this situation? So here, all what you have to do is relate each constant for its variable and form an equation. So that's testing how could you form a linear equation. So here we have the speed of walking is 3 miles per hour and running is 5 miles per hour. We change the color. Yes. So, and the combined total miles that he walked 14 miles. W for the hours he walked and R for the hours he ran. So 3 W plus 5 R is equals to the 14 miles that he walked plus ran. This is incorrect because he changed the SI unit to hour per miles, and same for that, and here he multiplied 112. He got 112 of nowhere, so it's also incorrect. Same way. So the correct choice is A. Question 3 says, which of the following equation best represents the line of the best fit shown? So this line that is drawn in orange is the line of best fit, and these are the actual points. So here he needs the equation, the linear equation of the line represented in the graph. So all what you have to do is to take 2 points, and I prefer you take one at the end and the initial point, which is the y-intercept, because usually these are the most accurate ones. So 7 and 15 and the other one is 0 and 3. So using your calculator or mentally, you can, by the way, both sections, calculators are allowed in both sections. So 3 minus 15 over 0 minus 7, which is equals to 12 divided 7, negative, so that's 7. So here it's positive, so we can directly eliminate this one since it's a negative slope, it has a negative slope, and this one also since it has a negative slope. Here we have a negative y intercept, so it's also incorrect, and that's approximately, by the way, it's 1.7, so the only choice that fits is A. Yes. Let's move on. Yes. Question 4 says, the graph of y equal f of x is shown in the xy plane. What is the value of f of 0? So here he needs the y value when x is equals to 0. So he needs the y-intercept. Here we have the y-intercept at x equal to 3. So the correct choice is D. Let's move on. Which expression is equivalent to m to the power of 4, q to the power of 4, z to the power of negative 1, m raised to no power, q to the power of 5, z to the power of 3. So all what you have to do is, when you have an expression like that and you have powers, all what you have to do is to add the powers to each other. So m can distribute it, m times m, no wait, m times q to the power of 4 times z to the power of negative 1 times m times the q to the power of 5 times z to the power of 3. So you can add the ones that are related to each other, so m to m, q to q, and z to z. So 4 plus 1 equals to 5, plus 1, 4 plus 4 plus 5 is equals to 9, and minus 1 plus 3 is equals to 2. So these are the exponents that we are going to get. So the only one that matches our exponents, and that's for m, of course, that's q, and that's z. B is the only correct choice that fits our expectations, or results, I mean. Okay, let's move on. Question 6 says, what is the median of the data shown? So all what you have to do here, you're lucky that the data shown are arranged in order, so all what you have to do is cross the one on the left, the one on the right, and keep doing that until you reach the one in the middle. So the median of the data shown is 79. So that's a technique when you have a certain data and you're asked to find the median. First of all, check if the data is arranged from least to greatest, and then after that you can eliminate each number with the least one with the greatest one until you reach the one in the middle. Okay, so let's move on. What value of x is the solution to the given equation? So all what you have to do is to isolate x, so shift x to the 40 to the other side, so 95 minus 40, which is 55. X is equals to 55. Okay? The solution to the given system of equation is x and y. What is the value of x plus y? Here you can find, since we have a vertical, a constant equation, which is 5x equals 15, we can just get the value of x, which is equal to 3. Isolating x, divide 5 in to both sides, and you will result in x equal to 3. Okay, then substitute x to this function and find the value of y. Minus 4 times 3 plus y equals to negative 2. Y is equals to 10. Isolate y, so that's 12 minus 12 plus y equals to 2. So y is equals to 10. The question is asking for x plus y, so 10 plus 3 is equal to 13. So the correct choice is 13. Okay? Yes. Where are we? In question 9, it says the given function g models the number of gallons of gasoline that remains from a full gas tank in a car after driving m miles. According to the model, about how many gallons of gasoline are used to drive each mile? So he is asking about how many gallons of gasoline are used to drive each mile. So he's asking for the difference between each for each mile you have driven. How many gasoline are you using? So he is asking for the slope, which is that one. So the correct choice is 0.05. If you want to try, you can substitute values for m and find out the difference. You will notice that for each mile driven there is a 0.05 difference between them. So yeah, it's correct. It's the correct choice. Okay. The given equation relates the positive numbers b, x, and y. Which equation correctly expresses x in terms of b and y? So he needs x is equals to what? So you can do a cross multiplication. Okay, so y is equal to 11x times 7b. Divide 7b in both sides. No, 77. Okay, that's 77, not 7. For simplicity, we can just write it down. So it's 77x by. So, and here is 77b. Let me that. So x is equals to y over 77b. So the correct choice is C. Okay, let's move on. And 11 says the graphs of the given equation in the xy plane intersect at the xy. What is the possible value of x? So he gave you two equations. One is constant, which is a vertical, a horizontal line, and the other is a quadratic equation. So all what you have to do is substitute and find out the possible value of x. So 76 is equal to x squared plus 5 minus 5 minus 5. Isolate x squared, so you will have x squared is equals to 81. Raise that both sides to the power of half in order to get rid of that exponent. So absolute value of x is equals to 9 after raising it to x is equals to positive or negative 9. So one of the possible values of x is negative 9 or 9. We have only negative 9, so that's the only correct choice. Okay, let's move on. Sorry for that, I'm having some technical issues because I'm not using my original laptop, I'm using a different one. Okay, regardless, let's move on. The point x and 53 is a solution to the system of inequalities in the xy plane. Which of the following could be the value of x? Yes. So here we have x and 53 is the solution to the system of inequalities in the xy plane. So all what you have to do is substitute this in that inequality and find out which solution can fit the most for x. So for x plus 53 is less than 18. Isolate for x is less than to negative 35. X is supposed to be less than negative 8.75. So which of the following could be the value of x? For which value of x will it be less than negative 8.75? So if we check the choices that we have, negative 9 is correct, negative 5 is incorrect, since we have negative 5 is greater than negative 8.75. That's somehow tricky. You might consider that negative 5 is greater than negative 8.75, but we have here a negative sign, and same for here. So negative 5 is greater than 8.75. So the only correct choice is A. Okay, let's move on. Out of 300 seeds that were planted, 80% were sprouted. How many of these seeds sprouted? So that was the same question that we had in the first of the test. So we have a total of 300 seeds, and we have 80% sprouted. How many of those are sprouted? So all what you have to do is multiply the total amount of seeds times the percentage which is given, which will yield to 240 seeds. Okay, let's move on. The function f is defined by f of x is equal to 4x. For which value of x does f of x equals to 8? So all what you have to do is asking here for what is the value of x when y is equal to 8. So 8 is equals to 4x x is equals to 2. That's simple. These. Let's move on. Which expression is equivalent to 8x x minus 7 minus 3 times x minus 7 over 2x minus 14? So here simply notice that we have we can take a common factor 2 in the denominator, so we will have 8x, and we have a common factor which is x minus 7, so we can group them. 8x minus 3 times x minus 7, and down we have 2 times x minus 7 as well. So just we can eliminate x minus 7 with x minus 7, and we're left with x minus 3 over 2. So the only correct choice is B. Just give me a second, I'll come back. Okay. In question 16, it says that line P is defined by 2y plus 18x equal 9. Line R is perpendicular to line P, made the xy plane. What is the slope of line R? So here we have that all what we have to do is to find the slope of line P and to find the slope of line R, which is perpendicular to it. So the slope of line P is negative B, negative A over P, and take care that this is B and this is A and this is C. So negative A over P, which is equals to negative 18 over 2, which is equal to negative 9. Using the perpendicular, when we have a perpendicular line to such a line, all what you have to do is multiply the slope of the line, which is we are falling on at perpendicularly, so multiply by negative 1 and take the reciprocal of it. So C is the only correct choice. Okay, let's move on. The given function f models the number of coupons a company sent to their customers at the end of each year, where t represents the number of years since the end of 1998, and t is in between 0 and 5. If y is equal to f of t is graphed in the ty plane, which of the following is the best interpretation of the y-intercept of the graph in this context? So when we have such a thing, well, what we have to do is that think of what could be the y-intercept. When we have the y-intercept, we are given that the t must be equal to 0. So when t is equal to 0, we have the initial value where the company has started with. So when we substitute t to 0, it means that that's the number of years since the end of 1998, which is given here in the question. So we can just try to find what I have said in the question, in the choices. So A says the minimum estimated number of coupons the company sent to their customers during the 5 years was 1428. That's completely incorrect. And by the way, when you have a y-intercept interpretation, all what you have to do is to look for the initial value or the starting value of whatever the question is asking for. So here we have the minimum also, which is incorrect. So So here we have the estimated number of coupons the company sent to the customers at the end of 1998 was 1428, which is incorrect since we have the initial value is 0 and 8,000. So the only correct choice is D, since that's the initial value sent to the customer at the end of 1998, which is given originally in the question, and that was equals to 8,000. Okay, so let's move on. Question 18. Triangle XYZ is similar to triangle RSD such that X, Y and Z correspond to RS and T respectively. So each X is for R, Y, S and Z for T. The measure of angle Z is 20 and 2XY is RS. What is the measure of angle T? Since both triangles are similar and we have that when we are given that Z corresponds to T, angle Z is equals to angle T. So the correct choice is C. So that's similarity. Okay. One of the equations in the system of two linear equations is given. The system has no solution. Which equation could be the second equation in the system? So when we have such a thing and both systems have no solution, all what you have to do is to find an equation which has similar slope and different y-intercept, because when you have similar slope and different y-intercept, you will have two parallel lines which will never intersect with each other. So in order to find the slope, you can just do a simple way. You either just keep shifting, isolating the y like that till you find a certain formula which has two same slope and different y-intercept, or just do a different thing which I'll mention right now. So the only one that has same slope and different y-intercept is B. So the correct choice is B. A different way is that notice that all the ones in the choices are written in the form of AX plus BY equals to C. So you can just shift this one and the X and the slope and write it in the same form as the one in the choices in order to perform the formula I will be mentioning right now. So in order to have the same slope, you can just do that formula A over B, and that must be equal to the minus A over B of the second formula. So let's call it 2, and that's 1. Performing this equation, you will notice that the only one that satisfies this formula is B. Okay? So that's all for question 19. Let's move on. What is the area in square centimeters of a rectangle with a length of 34 centimeters and a width of 29 centimeters? So that's directly stated in the question. He needs only the area, and he gave us the length and the width of both in the rectangle. So area is equals to length times width. So 34 times 29, which is equal to 986. Yes. Let's move on. the solution to the given system of equation is x and y. What is the value of x minus y? So here we have a similar equation question that we had at the first of the also test. So what you have to do is substitute in the equation. So all what you have to do here is just substitute y in the equation. So 4 times 4x plus 1 is equal to 15x minus 8. So 16x plus 4 equal to 15x minus 8. Solving for x, you will use that x is equal to negative 12. Then you have to just substitute negative 12 in either equations. So you have y is equals to, I'll use the one easier, so negative 12 plus 1. So y is equal to negative 48 plus 1. Y is equal to negative 47. So negative 12 minus 47 is equal to 35. So that's the solution for such a question. All what you have to do in such questions, you substitute the given equation in either of them and get the value of firstly you get the value of either y or x, then find the other value for the variable given. Okay, so let's move on. How many distinct real solutions does the given equation have? So all what you have to do here is that just use the discriminant, which is b squared minus 4ac minus 4ac. And we have three conditions. The first one is greater than 0, and that's two real solutions. The other condition is 4ac less than 0. We will have imaginary real solution, unreal solutions. And the last one, minus 4ac equals to 0. We will have only one real solution, or in other words, we will have a repeated solution. So, for example, x minus 2 to the power of 2. X will only equals 2, so that's a repeated solution. So we have only one real solution. So let's test this one, the given equation formula, and see for which condition will it satisfy. So 10 square, that's a, b, c, minus 4 5 times 16. Okay, so 100 minus, that's 4 times 5 is 20 times 16 is 320. So that's obviously less than 0. So the solution is we have no real solutions. Okay, let's move on. A certain park has an area of that number square yards. What is the area in square miles of this park? Okay, so all what you have to do here is that it's given that we have it as square yards and we need to convert it into square miles. So all what you have to do is to just square these two, since we are given two numbers as an area square yards and square miles. So 1 mile square is equals to 3,097,600 yard square. Placing it under its value, so that's the most efficient way you can use in order to avoid confusion. And that's yard square. Using cross multiplication, you will find that the area in miles is 3.83, which is B. So it will be like 3,976,000. X equals to 118,663,80. Isolate X, you will have 3.83. Okay, let's move on. Which of the following equation represent a circle in the xy plane that intersects the y-axis at exactly 1 point? So here, that's a new question. So all what you have to do here, in order to have a circle that intersects the y-axis at exactly 1 point, so we need to have the radius must be equals to the x coordinate of the center. So when we have a circle that intersects the y-axis at exactly 1 point, you must have x r must be equals to the r must be equals to the absolute value of h. So that's the only clue that might help you find the correct answer. So it follows that the x coordinate of the circle's center must be equivalent to the length of the circle's radius. So we have here in the first equation, we have the centers are 8 and 8, and the radius is 4. Take the root of that and that, same for that and same for that. Okay, so in the second equation we have the center 8 and 4. Notice that h is the x coordinate of the center. We have here 4 and 9, and that's 4. And the last one we have 0 as an x coordinate and y 9, and the radius is 4. So for which of the following can you do you notice that the x coordinate of the center is equivalent to the radius? The only one that satisfy our given equation, which is this one, is C. Okay, so when we have such a question, all what you have to do is find when r is equal to h. So that's why it's C. Let's move on. In triangles ABC and DEF, angles B and E each have a measure of 27. Okay, so we have a certain triangle. Okay, just give me a second. I'm just trying to fix that. So we have a certain triangle which has A, B, and C, and angle B and E each have a measure of 27. Let's draw the other triangle. D, E, F. So that's 27 and that's 27. And we have C and F each have a measure of 41. C and F, 41, 41. Which additional piece of information is sufficient to determine whether triangle AIBC is congruent to triangle DEF? So here we have, you must, in order to have a two congruent triangle, you must be familiar with the conditions of the similarities. So we have SAS, SSS, A, SA, and and AA, HL. So here the only one that we can prove is ASA. So we have here an angle, side, angle, angle, side, angle. So the correct choice is the lengths of sides BC and EF. Okay? So the last two questions, I will be explaining them externally because I will have to go because the computer is going to turn off. So stay tuned, I will be sharing the explanation for them.